So let's start by talking about kind of the production issues. And what we've kind of set up here is I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we're facing in each of the areas. But I've asked Tolga to talk through some specific case studies and some specific use cases that real customers are actually using computer vision for, so that you can get an idea not only of the potential of computer vision, but why people are using computer vision the way it is and what it means for those businesses in the real world. So when we think about the production issues, there are three main kind of costly drivers in when it comes to that production space. And the first is that obviously when we have a quality issue on the production line, and this came up. I worked for over 20 years in the ERP space, and I worked with a lot of manufacturers and distributors. And their brand reputation was often one of their most valuable and most important assets. And delivering subpar product that was broken, scratched, dented, whatever it is, that kind of quality damage issues was a huge challenge for them when it came to brand reputation. They needed to make sure that the products that they were delivering were of the sufficient quality. And because breaks in production are hugely expensive. Like as soon as a production line goes down, like that is money, just ticking over. So it's really important that we get that kind of up and running as quickly as possible. The time and resources in those breaks in production are, a massive issue that needs to be dealt with. And of course, that we know that that when machines fail, we end up with poor performance. So we end up with slower machines. We end up with, having to replace equipment and the time that it takes to replace equipment, all of that. So, that's obviously a huge issue as well.
I want to review three kind of challenges in this space. One is this concept of a micro stop, right? A momentary stop in the line, typically just minutes, but might happen 2 or 3 times a day. And so over time, it becomes actually a pretty large aggregate stoppage. And during that stoppage, people aren't getting work done, products not getting made. And so this is a big productivity opportunity to, get that extra couple percentage of productivity out of the process. Of course, the second we talked about briefly earlier is defects. We don't want to ship out bad product to customers. There's all kinds of like brand reputation issues there. There's also just the cost of like dealing with the replacement of the product. And then the third kind of in this space that I think is interesting is equipment monitoring. So you've got various kinds of probably older equipment that may not be digitized. Can we watch that equipment and learn something about it? Read the gauge or tell you the number of times the part opens or closes, some useful information that is digitizing a otherwise old analog device by just watching it. So I'll give you a couple like real world customer examples. But I'm going to make Julie explain why these are toilet paper pictures.
Okay. All right. Here's the deal. So we have, we work with some great companies and we work with some really big companies as well. And not surprisingly, some of these organizations have NDAs. But their use cases are so useful and valuable that I wanted to make sure that we could share them. Well, obviously, because they have an NDA, we can't talk specifically about their business. So, I knew that Tolga wanted some slides in order to be able to talk to this process and to talk about this particular case study for this particular customer. We obviously couldn't use their products. So, we might have had a little fun with Tolga. We might have made them into toilet paper. So, Tolga, could you talk a little bit about the toilet paper industry and maybe some of the challenges a toilet paper company might face?
Yeah, I deserve this. So, this could be any product, right? Let's use toilet paper as our little analog here. So imagine if the toilet paper rolls were supposed to be bundled in 3, like you're seeing in the green box. But imagine if the machine that does that work sometimes bundles them incorrectly, too tightly, right? And they kind of fold in on themselves and become this kind of triangle shape. So that problem causes the line to stop because that bundle will get jammed somewhere along the way. And so then other bundles, jam up behind it, and it's just kind of catastrophe. And you got to catch it quickly and get this thing off the line before it becomes a problem. So here we're simply watching these bundles, looking for the right quantity so that you've got 3 and not 2 and not 4 and not 1. and also the right shape, that there's 3 of them bundled in a straight line. So this is a really great, straightforward use. It's not quite product quality, right? The product is fine, but it's a process problem. We're watching the process to prevent a microstop. The next one, again, continuing with the example of, so the toilet paper rolls before they're cut, you can see here, this is now a product quality use case. So now we have a damaged kind of end. And, if you think about that damaged product there, that's not going to fit into your toilet paper holder. And you don't want to ship that to a customer. It's not the right product. And so here we want to understand, before we proceed, that this part needs to be reworked. And we want to reduce the number of defects that go out the door, and want to do that without adding more manual labor, more process. And so really obvious use of computer vision, what we see a lot. Taken together here, this hypothetical toilet paper manufacturer is avoiding downtime in their line by not having the incorrect bundles, and they're improving the product quality by ensuring that each roll is properly shaped before they ship it. These kinds of small changes that are simply, enabled by just taking the cameras that exist and adding AI to them with a platform like Kibsi, can have really dramatic impact, and they can deliver ROI really quickly, like in weeks or months, as opposed to in years. And so I think this is a great example of this technology at work.